Good morning, good afternoon, good midnight, should I say, for those who are watching this in other countries. So it must be midnight, so it's good midnight. Anyways, here we are again at Crazy Talks with Wise People. It's a crazy talk with wise people because you might not understand why people are so successful at a very young age. That's why it's a little bit crazy, isn't it? You might find it crazy. But people we consider crazy might be wise. So our guest for today is very young, but she's holding an executive position in Uganda's Premier Bank. And she's got very, very impressive credentials. She's very young. Of course, not a child, but she's very young, to have gotten several awards, to have garnered several educational attainment, and to have been appointed as a continental leader, you know. So it makes you wonder. It even made me wonder when I was reading her bio. It made me wonder how she accomplished everything that early. Well, she's a human specialist, you know. She's human capital partner and operations leader. She's a dynamic professional with 19 years. Can you believe it? She said she's got 19 years experience. Look at her. Looks like she's 20, right? She said she's got 19 years extensive experience in product development, human capital management, and business operation leadership within the financial services industry. Proficient in Agile methodologies and lean practices with a track record of driving strategic initiatives, fostering high performance teams, and delivering optimal business value. She's a global president emeritus of Young African Women Congress Network. She's founder, executive director of Dorcas Initiative. She's a book author of a book entitled Thrive, Overcome Workplace Barriers and Maximize Your Influence as a Female Leader. Wow, we are so honored to have you in our podcast, ma'am.
Thank
Jacqueline
you, Dr.
Nambiro.
Angela.
Jacqueline Nambiro. Jacqueline, she's my sister in Christ. So you can call me sister. You can call you sister. Say sister.
Thank,
I'm more
thank you
comfortable
very
with
much.
sister. Okay, sister. Can you please tell us about your journey? I mean, how come you've got all these at an early age? I mean, I would say early because you're only in your 40s and you already have had all these awards. In fact, you know what, guys? I deleted some that she already sent me because her bio is long, and with her permission, I told her, "Can I just read this? Because it will take me a day if I read all her, achievements." So, all right, please greet and tell us about your journey.
Thank you very much for having me, Sister Angela. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who are listening to us. Thank you very much for inviting me to the show today. I'm pleased and blessed to be with you, and I'm joining you live from Kampala in Uganda within East Africa. You make mention of a very interesting question about my experiences. First, I would like to give God thanks for life and for the opportunity to serve in the community and the marketplace. It is by honestly God and, of course, mentors like you, Sister Angela, who've gone before us to lay good foundations for us to rise up as children, as youth, and as women. I am talking of that experience because I've been nurtured and mentored by several leaders throughout my growing up. And so that speaks to the experience in banking. And I must quickly say that something that I could have not shared in my bio, Sister Angela, is that I started leading at the very tender age of 10 when I was asked to be a class monitor in my lower primaries. I was an assistant head girl in my upper classes in primary. When I went for secondary education, I was an assistant head girl in a school called Iganga Secondary School in Uganda. I served at the university in the guild leadership councils as well. And I'm privileged to be a manager in the banking sector in Uganda. So it's been nurturing, it's been passion to serve, and it's been about aiming to learn and read every day that I
Learn
am where
and
I
read
am
every
today.
day.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me just explain a little bit about one word you mentioned about marketplace. Okay, marketplace is not the market. You know what, guys? It's not market. When we say that's a term, I think in business, when you say marketplace, it means business. So
That's correct.
yes, all of us, because all of us, we do have our own calling. So our calling, with my sister Jacqueline here and I, we are called to be in business. So this is our calling. Okay, so you've mentioned about reading and learning every day. Do you read every day? Is it your habit?
Yes, I do. And I vary my reading from reading the Bible as
Mm,
a Christian, but also I loved reading from childhood. And through school, I
mm,
was a student of literature. So I
mm,
loved composition, I
mm,
loved imagining, and I
mm,
would read and scribble in a journal. And so I had several books of things I would scribble down, ranging from how my day went at school. And I value human interaction. So even as I speak to people and I hold conversations with them, I would find that I would write something about that person or my experience with them. And so it gave birth to a blog, Nurture the Leader in You, and it gave birth to the writing, but it came from reading and just writing about those experiences and hearing them out. So I read journals, I read work articles, and because I'm also a trainer and mentor at work, I do extensive reading.
you know what? I was supposed to ask you, what are your daily habits? But you already said it. I like what you mentioned about imagining. What were those things that you imagined when you were young that are happening, unfolding as you grow older? Because, we all imagine when we were young, and, for all you know, things just unfold out of your imaginations. Let me share this with you, sis. When I was in grade three, I my teacher read about Loch Ness, and I just planted that imagination of what Loch Ness is. Well, now that I'm this age, I saw Loch Ness. And I have all these little things that we imagine, they take place. So just a little sharing about me, says, how about you? Like little things that you imagined when you were in grade school and you were a little girl, and they just unfolded as you go by without any effort. They just unfolded. So what are those, sis?
There are three things. One,
Mm,
I used to love listening to people educate others. For
mm,
instance, when we had the district or inspector of schools come to our schools then,
mm,
to enlighten us about several things in the environment during the World Environment Day.
mm,
They tell us about protecting nature, or
mm,
they talk about health when it's a World Health Day. And so I admired being that kind of person who would have an opportunity to speak and enlighten others as a child growing up. And today, I do not just motivational speaking, but I have groups of women and youth who I mentor, and I have an opportunity to enlighten them as well from my experiences, from what I've learned and what I learn in the world.
mm,
The second thing I imagined and I used to admire
Mm.
My father once took me to a banking hall when he
Mhm.
would go to withdraw or transact money.
Mhm.
And I admired the way bankers would be
Yeah, yeah,
professionally dressed, the
yeah.
way to express themselves in
Mm.
form of customer service. And I told them that one day I will work in the bank. It
Mm.
is no wonder that when I graduated fresh from school, I applied in the bank, and 19 years down the road, I'm still in the banking sector. So
And
that is the second one I can talk about.
mm. And the other one?
And the last one that I dreamt about was traveling across the world to tour, to have nature, and to learn about several cultures. And it started with me paying trips within East Africa. And I'm glad that I got a chance to travel to West Africa as I grow up, to South Africa. I'm now dreaming of expanding my horizon to Europe. And as I speak this month, I have a trip to Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. And I want to believe that more is yet to come.
Well, WOW is organizing an event in Canada. We will be organizing, in Scotland, in London, in Liverpool, um, in the US. So you will have a lot of traveling.
Thank you. And I look forward to learning and sharing these experiences as we network.
I we also look forward from in learning from you.
Thank you, Dr. Angela.
No, I'm just your sister Angela. I don't like titles, I'm not a respecter of titles. So I don't even want to be called a doctor because I just want people to know me for who I am. And well, in business we need to do that, but in simple conversations among friends, we really don't need titles. We don't need titles. Now it's very interesting though. um and I just believe in the power of imagination because imagination instills faith. Yeah. So did your imagination instilled faith in you that
Yes, it did.
mhm,
And I currently pursue a coaching certification. I'm currently accrediting for team coaching certification
mhm,
with the International Coaching Education. And just
mhm,
to that question, Sister Angela, I got challenged,
mm,
I would say, to learn and to see how I can expand my abilities, not for myself, but to be able to mentor and to coach other people. So it turns out to challenge me to stretch myself because it is said when you cannot give what you don't have. So
mhm.
I need to constantly refresh my mind, my competencies, my skills, so that I'm able to empower other people with knowledge as well and support them to nurture their human potential to be better versions of themselves.
Okay. You always mention about, giving of self. You know what? Nobility is the key to success. Am I right? That
That's right.
you are successful because your desire is beyond yourself.
That's right.
Mm, okay. I'm just wondering with all these, with the kind of with the kind of perspective you have and the kind of womanhood you have and the kind of mother you have and the kind of wife you have, you're so ideal. Did someone influence you to be who you are now?
Yes. And I can relate that to my father, Mr. Honorable John Fabian Olwen.
Mm-hmm.
My father has been a key pillar in my life and our lives at home in the way he trained us to value life, to value others. And I saw it through him that from the time we were young, he brought people together. He served in the animal industry and fisheries. He served in the Danish embassy in Uganda, but he always went out to do community initiatives. And so I learned some of these traits about caring for others and trying to solve for the world's problems to make life easier for others through him. So, for
Oh.
instance, in Uganda, we tend to host refugees as a nation. We welcome and support refugees.
From
And so,
Sudan.
yes, as a country, we
Mm-hmm.
have some of the largest refugee settlements in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a child, watching him travel to these places to support the war-torn areas, then I
Mm-hmm.
also decided to say, I would want to visit the war-torn area and see the life that people who are affected by war undergo. And so, in the university, as a student leader, I managed to join a team of guild presidents heading the universities in Uganda.
In
And we,
Makerere.
yes, Makerere, Chambogo University, Makerere Business School, and we traveled to the northern part of Uganda that by the time was affected by war, and we gave back to the community clothes. We also had some social and economic support given to them, counseling, and just talking to those children, loving them, and encouraging the women to say, you know what, the war is not the end of it all. Someday Uganda will be peaceful again. And we are glad that today we are at a better place and the northern part of Uganda is back and reviving. So it came from my father, and now it's in me, and it's a trait I'm teaching my children to love and give back as well to the community, because together we stand and together we thrive.
Wow, wonderful. You made mention of, about your father being an honorable. I think that's one thing we have in common. My father was a politician, and
Wow.
I think I took after his principles. Well, he resigned from politics, uh,
Okay.
because he didn't want to be corrupted.
I'm
So,
glad to hear that. So for my father, he serves in the cultural institution under one of our cultural kings who heads our tribe, the
mhm,
Tienga Cultural Institution in
mhm,
Uganda. And
mhm,
so he's a deputy premier serving under the cultural institution.
mhm,
Yes.
mm. All right. So it's no wonder, no wonder our spirits click, because
It's
we have some things in common in the first place. Okay. Now, I'm just also, so it's your father what influenced you.
that's right.
Yeah, he's a very strong figure in your life. How about your mom?
My mom, my biological mom rested at an early age. And so I did
Ah,
not get the privilege of really being nurtured by her.
mm,
But I must say that my father had married again. And
mm,
so I have a mother who has handheld me. By the time she came into my life, for most of the time, I was in boarding school. But for the
ah,
short time that I was in her hands during the holiday breaks, it has been very key in terms of the hard work and the mind to learn how to keep the home. So even today, I am a corporate woman who serves in the marketplace, in business, but I know how to run a home. That
mm.
is training and nurturing from a woman. So I'm grateful to my mother, Rosemary Olwen, for nurturing that woman in me.
I remember grandma always used to tell us, even if we have maids, you should learn at least how to tell your maids what to do. Because if you do
That's
not know
correct.
how to run a home, then the maids will be at a loss. So you need to know,
That's
you need to know the standards. That's what she used to tell us. Right?
very correct. And I'm a proud mother and wife because of her.
Because of
I'm
that.
very
Oh
grateful
yeah,
for her.
that's another common thing for both of us. Career women, but we were taught how to manage households. Yes.
That's right.
Okay, but I prefer cleaners to clean my house.
Wow. Definitely have to continue doing that. Somebody once said to me, but you cannot balance work and running a home or being a
Mm,
mother.
mm.
And I said, yes, there might never be a balance, but we aspire to make sure there is life in the household and at work.
You mean you still do
Oh,
household chores even if you're
so as
tired from work?
not necessarily, but to just say that your personal goals and family goals
Mhm.
must thrive equally as your business goals also
Of
thrive.
course, the future of your children, your relationship with husband, and yes, so you're a superwoman. You're a superwoman.
By the grace of God, we do. And we are supported by these men to keep going.
Yes,
So,
actually, yes. It is,
yes,
I'm sure you don't believe it. I mean, I'm sure you don't believe in women's liberation. I mean, we believe in gender equality, but
indeed.
not women's liberation, like we women trying to become man. Nah.
No, no, no.
Nah. I mean, to become man in ways of masculinity.
Not that way. I
Yeah,
believe that there is a role for men and there is a role for women to play
women.
in
Yeah,
society. So we just complement
we just
each
compliment, of
other.
course. Yes, yes. I believe that too. All right. Now, it seems to me like you're a very perfect person, but I'm sure you've got some disadvantages, weaknesses that we might consider a disadvantage. Now, you just mentioned at least one or two disadvantages that you managed to turn into an advantage.
Wow, that's an interesting question because the first one I would want to relate to um, was a work transfer. I was working in Kampala,
Mm-hmm.
which is the central part of Uganda,
Mm.
and I got a job posting to one of the areas of the country, but the rural setup, I would say.
Mm.
And I was greatly discouraged by many to say, you cannot live life in the capital city
Mm.
and you want to go to a rural setup. And it was painful and tougher decision because it involved leaving my little daughter, by then she was 1 year and 8 months, in the hands of a caretaker in Kampala.
Mm. Mm.
And because it was the first time I was going, I didn't have, I couldn't move along immediately to move the family.
Mm.
And when I got to the area, within the first 2 weeks, it was very tough, harsh weather,
Mm.
tough living conditions. And it felt like I was taking a lower position possibly because of that move. But while it appeared at that moment like it was a disadvantage to me, I chose to look at it for the positive to say, why has God led me to this region to go and work in the northern part of the country? There must be reason. That's why I'm here. So I need to take time to step there, listen for what that is, and understand how I can fulfill purpose, even in that place of disadvantage, in quote, by the many people who've told, discouraged me to go. And I'm glad I went because I found that people there are warm, but I also found specifically the girl, child, and women that I interacted with. people who had been discouraged, people who had given up in career, in pursuing their personal goals. And when I started talking to them, they said to me, I think our future is doomed. We have nowhere to go. I can't thrive at work because no one is promoting me. And therein was need for me to step in, to wear my coaching hat, to wear my mentor hat, and support the staff in that area to discover their purpose, to rekindle the fire in them, to live for their jobs, to live for their families, and to start thriving again. And by the 2 years I worked in that area, 50% of the staff in that region were promoted.
Oh,
and
wow.
50% promoted in 2 years. And they were thriving and doing well. And later on, I came back to head office. So while the transfer appeared like a disadvantage, there was a bigger cause for me to step there, to charge up other people, support them to thrive. And because they did well, I performed well. So I'm glad I took that step. The second example, Sister Angela, I can talk about was a decision about a personal journey that I had to take. And that was specifically regarding my first marriage. I had a traditional marriage that didn't go well. And in that marriage, because I'm Christian, and this person had come home, the expectation was that I shouldn't quit, even when it was an abusive marriage. And so while the expectation of family church was there, I was broken, I was wounded for almost 4 years. And when it started getting physical in terms of abuse, I made a decision to walk out of that relationship, that abusive and toxic relationship. And so I did that. And it gave me room to heal. It gave me room to blossom again. And 10 years later, I was privileged to meet my current husband, who wedded to and committed to Mr. Jimmy Nambiro. So I'm happy, I'm fulfilled, and I'm thriving. And so from that experience, I would say that even when things appear disadvantageous or tough, we need to, by the grace of God, make the right decisions. And sometimes it might be an unpopular decision for others, but we need to ensure that it is the right decision that we are taking so that we are better for our good, for the good of our families, and for the good of the people we are called to serve. So those are the two examples that I can share about.
You are very wise.
Thank you. I must say.
I've seen women. I've seen women who lost their lives because of a failed marriage. But you took it differently. You bounced back. What is the key reason why you always tend to bounce back?
I think when we started our conversation earlier, we talked about belief. I'm a strong believer in God, but I also believe in certain values. And I believe that values form a foundation for any individual to stand and thrive. And if I bring that to a work context point of view, even for professionals, you must agree with me that having values is a benchmark for success and a foundation for success. Now, for any, whether relationships or day-to-day life experiences, when we go through the low moments or tough moments, your value system keeps you afloat. What do you stand for? What do you hear God telling you about who you're called to be? Because I think understanding my purpose and calling is very critical, because that has helped me keep me positive, knowing that my life is not just for me. I am born into this world to make a difference. And at whatever opportunity I have, I need to make sure that I'm making a difference and creating value and creating a positive impact. So if I'm in, for instance, a toxic relationship like that one, I felt that there was no value creation anymore. And I felt, well, let me peacefully withdraw and step aside. Even when I'm at work and I'm offering a service, I need to make sure I'm creating value for my customer who I'm serving. If I feel that I'm not able to do that, I will have an honest conversation with you to tell you, I can't do this. Let me perhaps hand you over to somebody who can help you realize that value, instead of riding on and I'm not creating impact.
Adding value to others. Yeah.
That's
Adding
right.
value. You're right. And you have a very strong self-image and self-respect. I think that is your weapon. You know, that's a very strong weapon that a human being can really have. Positive self-image. And of course, you said your faith in God.
That's right.
Yes. All right. So, well, it seems to me like, you had your twists and turns and bumps in life, but it seemed to me like you managed to make it excellent. You managed to make it excellent. So, but you know, maybe you still have some, wishes, or maybe you had some regrets, or maybe, just maybe, if you are given a chance to relive your life from birth, what were some mistakes or some situations maybe you wish you would not have done, or you wish you have might not have experienced?
Wow. That's a very interesting one there, Sister Angela. When I look back to my life, one of the things that comes to my mind is about focus. You know that as children growing up, our minds are open, our minds are wild, and so we are open to exploring many scenarios in life. Specifically, for my experience with that first relationship, I believe that if I had opportunity to consult and listen and understand, for instance, my partner better before I got into that commitment, that would make a difference. I had a checklist of sort in my mind of the things I want to be done. And it was more at the time from a closed mindset point of view. My view of what, for instance, an ideal man at the time was. Looking back now, I think I'm more mature. I would possibly have a very open mind to understanding people deeply and listening actively, because the world is not perfect. We are not perfect.
Yeah.
And you can't have a checklist of 10 things about
Yeah.
somebody, whether a marriage partner or a business partner like you, if I'm doing business with you, and I expect all things to be perfect. There is room to error.
Yeah.
but what are the lessons that I draw from that? And I specifically speak to that because I've seen that in my past relationships, for some of those places or experiences where I had, or I felt that people did me wrong, I held on to it for so long.
Mm,
And in the process, I had started getting bitter. I started withdrawing into myself.
mm-hmm,
I started losing self-confidence at some time, and that took me a long time to come out of it. What I
mm,
can do better now, and which I could encourage those listening to me
mm,
on, is that when we fall, let's shake off that dust and
mm,
help ourselves pick up faster.
mm,
Because in life, there will be low moments, but we need to quickly reflect about that low moment,
mm.
identify what lesson we learn from it, and move on.
Yeah.
Equally in business, if we go through a low moment, what lessons do we take from there and how can we be better? But don't be bitter, don't close yourself to the whole world, and don't give up on your dreams. At some point, if you would call me for a session like this to speak, I would tell you no, not because I don't have potential, but it had affected my self-esteem and I had
Mm,
become very low about
mm.
it. So I'll definitely go through those lows moments much better today. Thank you.
Wow. This is among the best podcasts I ever had because our guest is so candid and she's introspective and she shared her life unselfishly during this podcast. In fact, I would like you to mentor me.
Oh, I'm humbled too. I'm humbled. As a sister, I
Mm,
know there's something I can share, and I'm definitely open to learning from you as well. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much. Before we go, I'm sure our listeners here would like to hear some nuggets of wisdom from you before we go.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for this opportunity. From I, Jacqueline Nambiro, it's to say that we live life and live life in the moment. I would want to share with you that you're God's beautiful creation, and God has a big and powerful plan for you. So every day that you rise up, remember that there is a reason for which you live, and you can make a difference because you are special and you have the best thing that the world needs. So rise up and go thrive. Thank you.
Rise up and thrive. I say amen to that. So
Amen.
thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today. And it's always our pleasure to be with you. Please don't forget, or please remember rather, to like, subscribe, and share. Because in this channel, you will be meeting a lot of crazy but wise people like our guest today. Bye for now. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Sister Jacqueline Nambiro. She is a coach. She is everything that you want in a woman.
Thank you
Bye
for
for now.
having me, Sister Angela. Bye for
Thank you
now.
too.